Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Mindfully Aligned. I'm your host, Danze Benjamin, and I hope you missed me as much as I missed you. I know we did not have an episode last week, and that's because I was under the weather during the time I was supposed to record, and ain't nobody want to hear some stuffy girl talking for like 30 minutes now. Also, given that the previous episode was about rest and taking time for yourself, I figured, you know what? Now is as good a time as any. So I'm back, better than ever, healthy, and ready to deliver the word of the week. So this week, I really want to talk to you guys about motivation and the different kinds of motivation. This is kind of a return to a topic we discussed in episode 2 about finding your why. The reason behind what you're doing is super important in terms of how you execute it, how consistent you are with it. There are 2 different types of motivation that we can categorize this as, and it's called intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation. So first, I'm going to go over extrinsic motivation because it really impacts your motivation. It really reflects your outlook on what you're doing and how you move forward. And extrinsic motivation is very common in our world. We all have a bit of it, but some more than others. So, what is extrinsic motivation? It means that you are motivated by outside forces. If you find yourself seeking validation, perhaps words of affirmation is your love language, perhaps you used to be doubted by others and you had to overcome something, and now you use that as fuel to push yourself and prove them all wrong. That happens to a lot of us, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Maybe your parents put a lot of pressure on you, and accomplishing things is how you won their affection, and now you like to base your accomplishments on how others see it. You see your value on what you can produce and achieve, and, basically how people perceive it matters most to you. And so sometimes you can kind of go through life craving that applause. And listen, it's okay to have those feelings. They definitely do light a fire within you, and it's whatever it takes to get you jump-started and hungry to achieve something. That is what matters. But it's also important to be cognizant and make sure it's not your primary form of motivation, just a plus. Like, it can get you kick-started, but extrinsic motivation does have its shortcomings, and so it's not enough to fuel you throughout the journey of achieving whatever your goal is. Maybe you decided, okay, yes, I want to stick to doing this thing to prove them all wrong, but that's not enough for the long run. So you want to be careful when you go through life craving the applause, because the scary truth is a lot of the time you won't hear it. That's the hard truth. If we're doing something and we're looking for other people to say it's cool or for other people to say that we're doing a good job, we're going to be left disappointed sometimes because not everyone is going to be offering that to you. But that doesn't mean what you're doing isn't valid. It doesn't mean what you're doing isn't important or doesn't have potential. Like, people just don't notice it all the time. And so we kind of have to move away from craving that. So when you are only extrinsically motivated, as I mentioned before, it has its shortcomings and it can't sustain you. So you can get burned out. When you don't get the validation you desire, it might feel like whatever you're doing isn't worth it anymore. You place the value of your work on how others see it, but things can be valued differently by different people. For example, I heard this metaphor, I guess, and it really stuck with me. This man said, you can go to a movie theater and buy a water bottle, or the grocery store and buy a water bottle, or the airport. All 3 of those places is the same water bottle but a different price, because it's valued differently wherever you go. And the same thing goes for ourselves and what we work on, what we're doing in life. But the only thing that matters is that you need to know the value of what you're bringing to the table. It doesn't matter if person A thinks it as a certain way or person B thinks it as another way or person C. At the end of the day, it's still the same water bottle. What matters is how you value it. So don't get too caught up on how other people are seeing what you're working on or if they are validating it. It doesn't matter. You're producing it, and that's all that matters. Do you like what you're doing? That's extrinsic motivation, and that brings up the question of do you like what you're doing? And that essentially is intrinsic motivation. Motivation that comes from within. You are trying to prove something to yourself. You are trying to create something because you care about it. You are trying to achieve something because you want to give it to yourself. It doesn't matter how other people see it or what other people think of your journey or if they acknowledge the accomplishments along the way or not. It doesn't matter because you're doing this for you. And so when you hit a plateau or, you feel like what you're doing isn't cool enough to show other people yet or whatever, you still are in love with the process because you're doing this for no one but you. And that's how you can really keep on going for longer. So some examples, I guess, to get specific of the two is extrinsic motivation is like when you're studying to get a good grade versus intrinsic motivation, you're studying because you are fascinated by the topic and you feel like you really need to know this thing in life, so you want to learn it. I can say personally in school, when I've switched that approach, it really has done so much for me. If I took my finance class and I just did it so I could get a good grade, I definitely wouldn't have went as hard as I did because now I'm like, okay, I really want to understand this topic because I need this for my future. So I actually pay extra attention. I'm thinking about how I can apply it to my life. And that way, when you give what you're working on that deep of a purpose, you naturally are working harder at it because you are doing it just for yourself. Or extrinsic motivation is you taking a job because the pay is good, or, there might be a lot of clout that comes with the job, or it's a big name company, versus intrinsic motivation is taking a job that is fulfilling to you, something that'll actually just make you happy in the long run. It doesn't matter if the title is cool or it's at a company that everyone knows. It's just doing something that makes you happy. And because you are happy in that position, you perform better in that position, and ultimately that will lead to the best kind of success. And so you can kind of get the idea of, asking yourself, why am I really doing this thing? Is it because of a surface level reason, to show off, to stunt, or like prove that I can do it? Or am I doing this because I actually care about it and it aligns with my purpose and my calling? Who am I doing this for? My family, my friends, or is it for myself? I really love to look at stories of people who landed immense amount of success and see where they came from, see what they did, and apply it to my life. I find that to be super motivating and empowering for me. Again, that's like that higher self conversation we were talking about a few episodes ago. So, if you look at the most successful people, they are all intrinsically motivated. Being motivated by no one but yourself takes you so much farther. You're like a racehorse with blinders. You're not worried about the audience cheering you on or rooting for your competitor. You are just locked in on the end goal. Because there will be things that try to knock you down or make you insecure about your progress, but you can't let that shake you. Anyone who's successful in business knows how long it takes to develop a successful product or build up a business from the ground up. There will be roadblocks that come up, and the same goes for your own goals, whatever they may be. People may see you hit a roadblock and doubt you, but when you're intrinsically motivated, none of that matters. It doesn't matter if people aren't buying your product or showing love to your new project, because you know that you are cooking something big, and that's all that matters, and the rest will follow. It's just about you trusting yourself and trusting the process. Okay, I don't care if my friends think this is stupid. I don't care if my family thinks I'm wasting my time. I know that what I'm doing matters. And then when you dig deep, that power, you are now an unstoppable force. So, there are 1 million examples of this, but I was just in Puerto Rico, so I got to tour Casa Bacardi, so there's this one example that's in the forefront of my mind. Before founding Bacardi, Don Facundo Bacardi Masso had another company selling wine and rum that went bankrupt. If he took going bankrupt as a sign to just give up, we would never have Bacardi, which is the #1 rum brand in the world. But he knew it was his calling. He left Spain to go to Cuba just to get into this business. And yes, his first shot at it did fail, but that didn't stop him. It didn't matter that his original product didn't land with the market. He wasn't motivated by anything but himself. And it's crazy to think that even the most successful founders in history had roadblocks. And they would not have overcome that if they were not intrinsically motivated. He said, you know what, I don't care. Yes, I have a family that's depending on me. Yes, it might be easier to just do something else, but I know I'm called to do this. I know I have an idea and I need to just make it happen, or else I owe it to myself to make this happen. And that's kind of the approach, that unstoppable and hungry approach that we have to have in order to achieve those goals, big or small. Because it's like, if you are just, I don't care about what the world has to say, I'm just going to do it and I need to, nobody can tell you anything. It doesn't matter if you fail 10 times. That 11th time might be it. That might be the one that gets you to where you need to be. I'll also give a couple other examples. Thomas Edison, inventor of the light bulb, was deemed too stupid in school. He was expelled from school. Only his mom believed that he could be smart. All the jobs he worked in the beginning all fired him because it just seemed like he wasn't getting anything. Even his first 1,000 attempts at the light bulb were all failures. So he has the world around him telling him, you're stupid. I don't want you to work for me. You can't even invent anything. You're a failure. Did he take that and be like, you know what? Yeah. No one thinks I'm smart. No one thinks I'm good enough. So I guess they're right. I guess I can't do this. No, obviously you have light in your house right now. So that means it worked. Like, that means he still was able to do what he set out to do. It doesn't matter if the whole entire world is telling you that you're stupid. It doesn't matter if the whole world is telling you you're a failure or they're not seeing you for your value. You have to see you for your value. And do you know how hard that is too? If everyone is telling you you're stupid, but you yourself believe that you're smart. It's so tough to tune that out. And I give anyone credit who is able to do that. It's so important to do that, though, because that's when you become unstoppable. People will try to stop you. People will notice that maybe you're different, and they might miscategorize that as something negative. But it's important that you remember who you are. No one knows you like you do. And don't worry about showing them. Focus on what you want to do, and the rest will fall into place. And I'm sure you can start to see why self-esteem is a big part at play here, because it really does come from within. I don't have any tattoos, but if I did, it would say it comes from within. That's, I think, one of my life mottos, because no matter what you do, it starts from how you see yourself inside. If you don't see yourself as a future CEO or as an entrepreneur or as a future nurse, it's never going to happen because it comes from within. It starts with yourself first. And so if you have a goal in mind, especially if it's something that seems unattainable, you have to work on your self-esteem enough to believe that you can achieve that thing, because people are not always going to tell you that. People are not always going to encourage you of that. But you just need to believe it enough in yourself. So, for example, if you want to become a doctor, maybe you might go through a rough patch in school, and so extrinsically, your grades are telling you you're not smart, you can't do it. Your frustrated teacher is telling you you're not smart, you can't do it. But you have to have the self-esteem to know, I am smart, I just got to figure this out. I am worthy of becoming a doctor. I am driven and focused enough to become a doctor. And so you can tune out the noise of the world and lock in, because you know you can do it. You know you're worthy. You know you can achieve it when you put your mind to it. And that's what matters. So your school telling you can't do it isn't telling you can't do it. It's just you stopping yourself. I see a lot of times we are our own worst enemies. We talk down on ourselves, we doubt ourselves, and we seek encouragement from others. We wait for others to tell us we're worthy. We wait for others to encourage us to do something. We wait for others to tell us that they think we can. No. If you're waiting for that, you're going to be waiting for a long time. Why don't you just tell yourself, hey, I can start that podcast. I can start making content. I can start the process of changing my major because I always wanted to do this thing, or whatever it is. Don't wait for people to co-sign you. They don't know you, and they don't know fully of what you're capable of. Only you do. And so you just need to know deep down all of your power and tap into that. And that's basically what intrinsic motivation is. Understanding your power and setting goals for yourself and achieving those goals for no one but you. So essentially, that's the message of the week. Tap into your own power. Screw all the other noise. You don't need to wait for the applause. You don't need to wait for the cosign. You got it already within you. You just have to decide that for yourself. Surprise yourself. Prove it to yourself. And you will be motivated for longer. You will be pushing yourself harder because it's for no one but you. If you're trying to get fit for other people to, appease them, make them think you look good, they may not notice the difference at first. But if you're doing it for yourself, to get healthy for yourself, to have longevity and health for a lifetime, you will be reaping the benefits of it so much more. And that's something you can do for no one but yourself. And the same goes, again, for any goal you want to achieve in this life. You can do it to show off for other people, but at the end of the day, this has to be for you. Because no one is on that journey with you. No one's working on it with you. It's for you. So fall in love with yourself on that journey. And that leads me to the song of the week. It's called Inside Out by Raven Lene. And this song has such a tender spot in my heart. It's about loving yourself and picking yourself up and understanding that you've got it inside. Like, you are the magic. The magic is within you, and you need to understand that. And I found this song when I started my internship around that time, and she had released it at that time, and she also signed to the label. So this song was always in my mind, and I'd play this every single day. And I would just listen to this and motivate myself and remind myself, even though I have imposter syndrome, even though I'm telling myself I'm not worthy to be here in this office, that's not true. I am here, and I'm meant to be here. It's just a matter of me appreciating myself enough to know that I should be here. I can produce amazing work. And, listening to this song every single day helped me tap into that. It helped me foster a loving relationship with myself. And because I had that relationship with myself, I was able to produce the best work I could. And I just really saw amazing results with it. So I highly recommend it to all of you. It is such also a beautiful song. Gorgeous. Honestly, I listen to that song and I want to cry on command because it has such a sweet, sweet message with beautiful music. I mean, it's amazing. So everyone, be sure to check it out. It's called Inside Out by Raven Lene. And I hope you listen to that song and remember that you do have it within you. All you need to motivate yourself is yourself. And so that is basically the message of the week. Thank you guys for tuning in. Let me know if you enjoy the song. Let me know how you're employing and using intrinsic motivation in your life. And let me know if you start to see the results as well. So thank you guys again for tuning in. Be sure to share, subscribe, give this podcast 5 stars, and tune in next week. See ya.